9600 here, and today we're going to be playing some Castle Crashers. So I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the entire game, and I am going to be starting off a tad bit more leveled than you should be for the point in the game that I'm at. But I'm just going to start off right at the first stage. The only thing you're really missing is the opening party scene, which really isn't that big of a deal. A Grey Knight dies, the party gets all serious, and you get a potion in the process. So you pretty much get the story played out for you here. There's a castle, we're a knight. Right here I'm playing as the Poison Knight, which is one of the more unique characters in the game. First thing starting off, if you go over here and touch this pitchfork, it's actually a weapon. So if you want a new weapon, very first thing in the game, it's right there. So the interesting thing about the Poison Knight is, compared to all the other knights in the game, he actually does a different Y attack. So the Y is the strength attack, and most of the time when you click Y, when you're on the ground, it does this sword spinning attack, kind of like a windmill. But for the Poison Knight, he does a flip. So you can see there, it makes him a little bit more interesting than usual. I'm not quite sure as to why he does that. I can only assume that the developers meant to give each individual knight their new tactic, but since that was getting to be more creatively difficult, they stopped and, well, and left the Poison Knight with his. So going over each little mechanic of the game, there are a series of weapons you can get throughout the game. So when you start off with a weapon you have, that's not the weapon you're going to be stuck with. Each weapon has different stats, advantages and disadvantages. Some weapons don't have any disadvantages at all, which makes them quite overpowered. So this weapon I'm using right here is a DLC weapon that you get for the Pink Knight DLC. It's the Sword of Broccoli, which is actually a really, really good weapon very early in the game because it increases 3 of your stats, one of them being your, one of them, or the most important one being your defense. So right here is our first introduction to a shop. Once you save this is pretty much the second cheapest place to buy potions. Potions regenerate your health to full, and most every shop offers a weapon you can buy. This is the Grey Knight's weapon, so as soon as you clear the castle keep, you'll actually get that for free. There really isn't that big of a point in buying weapons, but we'll get to that later. Pretty much most of the good weapons in the game can be found or attained through some secret way. Next up, this animal orb that I have following me is a giraffe. Now, you don't start the game with these animal orbs. You actually have to find them or claim them or get them in some way, shape, or form. Now, this specific animal orb I have increases my experience gaining. So it actually makes getting experience and leveling up much easier than it usually would. I have this to make that Let's Play go quite a bit easier than it normally would, because this game is very difficult when you're playing on single player, and even though I have as much practice as I do, I'm still going to need quite a bit of help compared to usually having 4 or 5, or 5, you can't have 5 people, having the usual 2 to 4 people playing with me. So I am starting a tad bit over leveled. I'm sorry if that bugs someone. So basically how I play Castle Crashers, for a bit of a heads up, is I like to play with a combination of swordplay and magic. If you can tell kind of how I'm playing now, it's just the way I like to play Castle Crashers. I just don't like the bow and arrow in the game. It's just not for me. I can get it can be pretty overpowered because it can knock enemies down and stuff like that, but especially just for the 4 main elemental knights, I really do enjoy the magic that it has to offer. And since I've already played through the game with Red Knight, or the Lightning Knight, I can't really do that whole cheating with the Red Knight, because he has by far one of the more useful magics in the game. One more thing about weapons I didn't mention earlier is that you have to be a certain level to wield weapons. Now, leveling in this game is fairly easy and difficult depending on which character you have, or which animal orb you have, and sometimes which character, because it's infinitely easier to level up with the Red Knight if you know how to use him. But the animal orb I have here is Giraffe, which makes it easier for me to level up. And as I level up, I get these special points to put into each of the four things. I can't think of the word right now. I don't really think there is a word. Each of the 4 doodads that you get to level up with every time you do level up. Fuck, I usually don't have that hard of a time with this boss. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I'm getting my ass handed to me here. Alright, well this is good. This is probably the best way you want it to go down. So, sorry if I can get a little lost track here. There's a lot to go over with Castle Crashers, and since I'm going to be doing pretty much all of that in this first episode, so I can just talk as usual for the rest of this Let's Play. Weapons. You have to be a certain level to wield weapons. Most of the time, these levels come in different stages. Level 1, level 5, level 25, level 20, level 30, and then level 35. Once you get basically level 40, you can wield any weapon that the game has to offer, even though, depending on your playstyle, you'll probably find yourself using one weapon very specifically throughout the entire game. I know I'll probably end up using the stick of broccoli for a very long time, because there aren't that many weapons in the game that I really care for using. It's not that I don't want to use them, it's just that it really doesn't matter to me. I could use basically any weapon and be happy using it, as long as it didn't decrease my magic by a hell of a lot. I'll try to be showing off as many secrets as I possibly can, but if you're in my position and want to get secrets like you've beaten the game before and you have a save file like this, then I definitely recommend starting off with the Cardinal and running through the entire game with the Cardinal so it can find you some of the more secret weapons in the game. This is something interesting Castle Crashers likes to do, is make a breakable door and give you that sense of, oh, you're storming something. Okay, so as we continue on, we're almost to our boss here. Each boss in the game is pretty much divided into a sort of level with a theme going along with it, like the barbarian boss has his barbarian troops. So we start off here, and the 4 princesses, which is what we're going after, is the entire point of this game, is you're a knight, and you have each of your 4 princesses. Princesses? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This boss can be relatively easy, especially if you've upgraded your magic and your Y attack by quite a bit. You can see I'm doing a fairly well amount of damage to him. It's also very good. This boss is also very easy if you upgraded your archery by quite a bit, because that way you can hit him from distances. Now, you can see there that smash attack he just did, it will leave you stuck in the ground. The barbarian boss has a number of different attacks. That one, that punch probably being the most deadly of them. You can see, okay, I was about to say if I got stuck in that, I could show you what that's like. Earlier, a barbarian, he can actually hurt his own barbarians and does quite a bit. Like that, if a barbarian gets hit by that, or that, it does a very smart amount of damage to him. And it gets stuck in the ground, but you actually have to do a special thing for him. So as is Castle Crashers tradition, once you kill a boss, or a boss for a princess anyways, there's this huge crate of money that blows up and gives you, well, money. Oh god, I'm running out of, oh shit, alright, well my control's kind of locked up there for a second. So once you do that, normally if you're playing in a multiplayer game, you actually have to fight for your princess, and it is one of the achievements you can get, fighting for your princess. So after I level up here, I'm going to end off the episode and see you all next time. But before I leave, I want to go over each of the different stats in the game. That's the word I was looking for earlier, statistics. Over here, first thing you have is strength, and the more you up your strength, the more damage you do with your sword. Magic, each time you upgrade it, your magic does more damage and recharges faster. Each of the little sparklies is a different magical move. The first one is right trigger and B, the projectile attack. The second one is your aerial attack, which can most of the time be projectile downward, but for some it's not. Next up is defense. The more defense you have, the more health you have, and the less damage you take from enemies. And finally, agility is the more movement speed you have, and the more damage your bow and arrow does. I think I'm gonna go with strength this time around. Right before we end off the episode, once you clear this out, you get access to the blacksmith. Now, you may have saw in my statistics there that I had already found a compass. Once you come up here, there's a compass, which is one of the artifacts you need to continue on your journey to find it. So basically, when you go up here is the arc, where all the animal orbs you find throughout the game are here. Hopefully, I'll be showing off all of the ones I found. I don't have all of them, but I do have quite a few of them. And if you don't know what your animal orb does, you can go up to her and it will actually tell you the name of your animal orb and what it does. Now finally, if you go into this thing's mouth, this is where all your weapons get stored, and you can come here and use them at any time. That little number to the bottom right of the weapon is what level you have to be to use that weapon. You can see here level 10, level 1, level 1, level 15, level 15, level 10, level 1, level 10, level 5, and so forth and so on. Most of these weapons can be pretty difficult to find. Some of them I actually bought on one of my different profiles, or one of my different nights. Most of these at the end here are actually DLC weapons. You can see there's my broccoli, if you were wondering what the stats on that was. And I think I'm going to end that off here. So I will see you all next time. Goodbye.